Hello and welcome to Talking Points here on France 24. China is slated to rule today on whether to renew Google's operating license. The relations between the American search giants and Beijing have been rather tense, since Google said earlier this year that it no longer wanted to cooperate with the Chinese government's web filtering. As a result, Google closed its China-based search engine and rerouted its users to its unfiltered Hong Kong site. However, the company stopped the automatic switching this week because Beijing threatened to revoke its operating license. And since last night, its Chinese site is partially blocked. So is Google doing too much to please Beijing and to tap into the lucrative Chinese market? With me to discuss the issue here today is Pierre Picard, who's an expert on China and the author of several books. Hello and welcome.
Hello.
And also on the set is Paul André, who's a professor at the Catholic University in Lille, France. Hello and welcome. So Mr. Picard, what do you make of this struggle, it seems, between the government and Google?
Yeah, first of all, it was a surprise for me to see this kind of fight between China and Google. But I think it's more, for one step, a strategy for Google and also a political affair between the United States and China. In one way, Google needs to be in China, and in other way, China needs to have Google on its area.
But what do you make? So you think both sides will agree eventually? I mean,
I think we will arrive to some agreement very quickly. It is my opinion. We will see today or in a few hours what it will be in fact. But also Google made maybe for many people a little much, as you said. It was a kind of marketing operation. Even if we could say everything is not good in China. But step by step, we know that there are many more people using web and internet. And Google, who has around 30% of this market, needs to be very well known and to be in China, which represent more than 1 billion and 300 million of Chinese in China.
Is Google doing too much to tap into this market? We believe there are 400 million users already in China. I mean, Google is marketing itself, or has been marketing as a company, do no evil, something not only a company, but also ethics and so on. Are they blinking too much to please Beijing?
Well, it seems that Google was surprised by the reaction of other Western companies. When the whole affair began at the beginning of the year, they expected that other companies followed Google in their retrial of China. Actually, Google was the only Western company which adopt that strategy. And therefore, they realized that they cannot play this sole partition when their competitors remain in China. But it seems also that Google certainly has changed its position. If we go back to the very beginning of the affair, Google appeared as a kind of a new big brother. So that was certainly marketing when they've adopted this ethical position regarding freedom of expression and so on. But the point is, when they realized that they were hacked by Chinese pirates, they realized that they were not the only one. And this turned to be a political matter. But eventually, we can consider that this whole affair is at the same time a political affair between China and the US, but also a domestic affair for China, because it deals with the question of censorship, and a marketing and a business affair, because the main problem remains, can China assume its economic recovery without foreign investments? And they need to cool down the situation regarding foreign investors, and Google is a big one.
So you think that because China needs foreign investors, good relations, with the United States and Google needs to be present in China, both sides will agree China will maybe not censor as much, and Google will accept that some names of political opposition people or other things will be censored when you search on their websites.
For my own opinion, I think that Google needs more China than China Google, because many people on internet, they use Baidu or they do speak Chinese
Baidu,
easily.
can you just explain for our viewers who Baidu is? What Baidu is? It's the Chinese competitor of Google, right?
Yeah. And so Google is present in all the world, and the only big country where Google is not present is China. So for Google, it is a very, very big strategy problem. Another fact, another point, another focus is that now China tries to say, well, we are a very strong country, and we have to make laws as other countries with our own system. We all know that China has not the same system as we have. But anyway, this country tries to have its own law for all the operators. So we'll see today if Google will have the authorization. For my own, I think yes.
Right, but it seems, as you said, Google tried to challenge essentially China a few months ago, but realized it was all alone. So does this mean that because China is becoming so powerful economically, even politically, that Western companies have decided, well, it's too big a business to put ethics and morals into our calculation, and we'll do business?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. We must keep in mind that Chinese position was difficult over the last 2 years. They have to face the biggest recession they've ever faced since the beginning of reform 30 years ago, and they've realized that their own domestic market was not enough to fulfill their economic development. Therefore, they have to change their strategy. But they are at the crossroads. It has, on the one hand, the economic strategy China adopted over the last 30 years reached an end, and they need to reinvent, redesign their way of development. They thought, basically, that they could do it without foreign investors or with less foreign investments. They've realized that it's not that easy. So there is a change in Chinese policy. They remain on their basic point, which is stable geopolitical environment, which is no clash with the United States, be a partner which is reliable, and they also need a kind of stability inside. Therefore, Chinese leaders are ready to bargain certain things. And Google, to a certain point, is quite relevant of that new situation. We saw last week that Chinese leaders were ready to discuss when they may have an advantage with it. In Hong Kong, for instance, with the new leg code, the new parliament of Hong Kong. So they may discuss, but eventually, let's be clear, they will not have a shift in China's censorship policy. And it seems Western companies remain very skeptical about Chinese policy on that point.
Right. One issue that you mentioned, both of you, is the geopolitical aspect. Yes. When there were reported hackings of Google mail accounts, and Google decided, okay, we're pulling out of China. The United States intervened. I remember Secretary of State Hillary Clinton actually. Do you think the U.S. is also trying not to intervene too much on this issue and trying to calm things down?
That is a problem for the Chinese administration, and also for the Chinese government, and also for the Chinese people, because when the American administration of a newspaper write papers or report against China, you have not a good effect, but you have a very bad effect in China. And in the same time, you are very right, China wants to be opened, but this country now does not want to be guided in his policy. So they were very shocked by the position of Occidental country about this fact, and maybe it is why also there is some fact. But it was maybe it is for the United States a way to say, well, we try to stay the number one in the world, and we try to give some education or some laws. But China now wants to be open to the world, and in the same time, this country is in rivalry with the United States.
I mean, do you think that the Chinese authorities will be forced to relax the censorship rules eventually? Because that doesn't seem to be the case right now.
I think the position, I don't know if I will give you the exact answer, but I think the American position was more a position to take care about the right part of the administration of America. It was more a way to say, well, we are the number one, and we give guarantee to the conservators.
So you think it was a conservative thing. Do you think China will be forced to evolve on the censorship issue? First of all, because it's getting more and more difficult to censor the web.
Not necessarily forced, but they will bargain. It seems that over the last decade, China People's Liberation Army has been involved in a modernization program, and this modernization program was focused on computer warfare and information warfare. So it's not only a matter of Republican and Democrats in the United States. If Chinese leaders could maintain this dictatorship, this monopoly of power in the country, of course they would. They would do it and they would keep it. But the main point is that they're in a situation where they have to bargain. And they have to bargain on a geopolitical point of view. They have to face a difficult position right now. They've been pointed out as the main responsible of the failure of the Copenhagen summit. They've been unable to design a global answer to the economic crisis with other region leaders such as Korea or Japan. So they are in a position they have to prove their good willingness. Regarding the question of censorship, it seems that we have absolutely no point to believe they will have a softened position. If they could maintain hard censorship, of course they will do it.
Last question. So you think this will be China's position, that there's no reason for them to change on this issue?
I think that the Chinese position will go more up. I mean, in the way of liberty, step by step. But we have to wait some years, because the country has its own administration, and they have to move the ideas inside this country. But also in the same time, as you said, China has to be recognized in the world for his diplomacy, for its economy, and also for the diplomatic negotiations in the world. So to be open to the world and to Google.
Thank you very much to both of you, and thank you for watching Talking Points on France 24.